communicated with you on the song to sing. But the song is in line with what the Lord has given us today. Fear not. Fear not. Just carry it all to the Lord, and he will offload your burden. The servant of God had fear in him. Had fear in him. And Elisha said, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed. When he prayed, the Lord opened the eyes of the younger man, and the younger man saw. He saw what? He saw what? The younger man saw God's protection, and the younger man saw the chariots of the Lord surrounding all around the entire mountain, and he saw God's hand. Thank you, choir, for that special item. Human beings burdened with sorrow and fear and tear of so many things, being a choir from the Ministry of Health, nursing department, they're being trained to minister to the souls of human beings, not only through health cleansing or physical cleansing, but also spiritual cleansing. Spiritual cleansing. A man can go all what is needed for him to be well physically, all the cleanses that the body requires. But without spiritual cleansing, still man goes unsatisfied. Thus discussed us to the text he has read unto us, which also hangs on this fear, of which after the man of God has spied the land, and the servant had fear after spying the land. I don't know what happens to you when you use whatsoever you have in your hands. I don't know. The fear that is within the heart. Remember, your body, both the physical and the spiritual, belongs to the Lord. And the one who introduced to us told us, stewards, we are just managers, taking care of what the Lord has given unto us. There are so many things that the Lord has given unto us. They don't belong to us. We are just stewards. We are just stewards, keeping what the Lord has given unto us. Stewards of the physical body and stewards of our spiritual lives. Look unto yourself. Everything you had doesn't belong to you. Doesn't belong to you. Those who have lived before us, they have acknowledged that indeed naked I came, and naked I will go. One writer says, only one thing I came in this world, naked. But once I have acquired it, even when I am buried and I cease breathing, I go with it. And this is Christ. If I go with him, I believe I will resurrect with him. But whatsoever you possess now, today, as you are walking, you are just a steward. You are just a keeper. You are just a manager and accountable to give accountability of what the Lord has given unto us. The church is crying and the church is suffering because us being poor managers, misusing what the Lord has given unto us in all aspects of the departments of the church. I remember my friend told me that stewardship department is responsible for the all departments of the church. That stewardship department is responsible for family life, is responsible for the ambassadors, ministry, pathfinders, is responsible for the deaconry department, is responsible for the elderly department, and is responsible for the treasury department. The stewardship department is responsible for all departments of the church. I will not stress deeper into that today. It's not my sharing. But my sharing today is on what makes the soul Asante sana. The servant of the prophet had fear. This fear was a spiritual fear in his head. Asante. This fear was a spiritual fear in the heart. But when he prayed, and the Lord opened the eyes of the servant, then the servant saw the Lord. Then the servant saw the Lord. Not until we discover our spiritual needs, we may not even consider what God has placed in our hands as valuable. Not until the Lord opens our eyes, we may not see even the importance of what is in our hands. Not until we discover that we are stewards, we may not discover even how to value what has been placed in our hands. I completely believe that if the Lord opens our eyes spiritually to see His plans and His will, the Church of God will not be struggling the way the Church of God is going through. If the Lord opens our eyes spiritually and we see His guiding angels, we may not be making some of the grave mistakes in our lives. Not until we take moment and time in personal prayers, because this is the nourishment of the soul. The inspired word has it. Christ spent most of his time in solitude places, praying for strength from above. Then if Christ spent time in prayer, yet he is perfect. He lived a sinless life, blameless life, perfect life, and spent time in Gethsemane praying. What about me and you, mortal man? Prayer does not change the perspective of God, but prayer changes our perspective. the way we view things and the way we see things. When our eyes are opened spiritually, the way we see things changes and the way we view things changes. And that is what is termed as a perspective. But this happens when a soul goes into sorrowful moment of prayer and solitude moments in prayer. This does not mean we ignore public prayer and fellowshipping, but more time is needed in personal prayer. More time is needed in personal prayer. It is from the personal prayer, when God opens your eyes, then you can come and impart to others whom you mingle with in your daily life. When God opens your spiritual eyes, and when God opens all the points of perspective, even stewardship does not become a problem. Does not become a problem. Stewardship does not become a problem. Then the Lord opened his eyes and he saw. The church is a mixed multitude. That word is in quote. That word is in quote. The church of God is a mixed multitude of people from different backgrounds and people with different history and people with different stories. For them to stay together as brothers and sisters, there must be a spiritual opening of the eyes. There must be a spiritual opening of the eyes. Because it is through this spiritual opening we discover that we are stewards. Allow me to tell you that you are a steward of your body, and you are a steward of your soul, and you are a steward of your neighbor. Turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor, neighbor, I am your steward. Say, neighbor, I am your steward. In philosophy, you can say, I am your manager. But that one sounds too egocentric or selfish, if that is English. But just say, I am your keeper. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I am your keeper. I think that one may sound biblical. Just tell your neighbor, I am your keeper. I am your keeper. When I mention that word, my mind runs directly to Genesis. Then the younger man asks God, am I my brother's keeper? When our eyes are closed and we cannot see God's guidance and God's protection and God's mighty angels, we turn to God and ask him tough questions. God, am I my brother's keeper? This happens in the last days when Christ says, the love of many will grow cold. The love of many will do what? Will grow cold. When he was looking at the omens of the end in Matthew 24, of which we will not go deeper to read, but that text which says, and the love of many will grow cold in the last days, this text is dualistic in nature. This text does not only mean that I will stop loving you or you will stop loving me. But this text is rooted in the context of God's ministry. And because iniquity shall abound, in the love of many shall wax cold. That is verse 12. Many shall cease to see that they are stewards. Many shall cease to see that they are brothers and sisters keeper. And the love of many will do what? Will grow cold. Allow me to go deeper in this text. This text is given unto us in the context of ministry. That when our love will grow cold and our eyes will be closed, even the spirit of service will grow cold. The spirit of serving God will grow cold. We will live the life I don't care. We will live the life I am in my world, in God's world. The love of many will grow cold. Then John says, because of this experience, many will forsake the master.